Welcome to Straightway Through with Gina, the podcast where we say it straight, say it true, say it kind to the best of our ability every time. Imperfectly, of course, never going to reach perfection, but always aiming for it, always looking for what's the next best way I can communicate because we know communication can be very challenging in all of our relationships, whether they be work relationships or it's a family member, it's a neighbor, it's your pet. Communication is one of those things where we all know what easy communication feels like, and we all know what hard communication feels like, and we want so much to be understood. And sometimes you can love somebody, you can want to understand them, you can want them to understand you, and it just doesn't happen. And that can leave this feeling of loneliness and despair because we're creatures of community and we really like to get along. It helps us feel good when we get along. So in this podcast, I go into all aspects of communication and talk a lot about how we can improve our communication, regardless of whether or not the people in your life are moving toward that same effort. Today, I have a very special topic, and the topic today is how to make those hard relationships work for you. Meaning, I'm gonna get into a few things today. First thing I want to get into is this word relationship, because it's really interesting. Here's a truth about communication. I use the word relationship all the time, and in my mind, I have a very specific understanding and idea and meaning of what that is when I use the word. Recently, I had the good fortune of getting feedback from two people who I was on a call with, and they were helping me understand through what they were sharing that they don't have the same definition of relationship. Now, of course, it didn't happen that easy. The conversation went back and forth, and that's what we arrived at. Because when I say the word relationship, it didn't land with them, like it didn't sit with them. It was almost like they didn't understand how I was using the word relationship. It sounded like a misfit. It sounded like another word should be in there. But the thing is, it's not necessarily that another word should be in there. It's that we have to have a common mutual understanding of what the word relationship means if we're going to have a discussion about it. And if we can talk about what it means, then we know what's happening behind that word. One of the most interesting things about the human language, I don't know if it's like this in other languages because I only know English. But in English, for example, I do this all the time. If myself and someone else were talking about something and we seem to not be making a lot of headway, we're usually talking about a specific word, right? It's like something we're talking about, whether it's an idea, it's a behavior, it's a pattern, it's whatever it is. It's like this word, and we're talking and we're not really on the same page. And then I say, wait, hold on. Let's look up this word and make sure that we're both using this word in the same way. And when we go ahead and look up that word, there's many different definitions for that same word. And I have never had the experience when I've looked it up in those situations where we've both been talking about the same definition. That's why it's really crucial. And that alone can help your relationships a lot. If you feel like you're not getting anywhere in a certain conversation, just say like, hey, hold on, this word that we keep going back and forth about. Let's just say you're both talking about patience. Like maybe somebody wants you to be more patient and you're like, but I am patient. And they're like, no, you're not patient. And you go back and forth and you really feel like there's just this disconnect. At that point, just say, you know what, let's look up the word patient and let's make sure that we're both on the same page. And you'd be surprised how many times that changes the conversation from that point on. And you go, oh, that's what you're talking about? Okay, this is what I'm talking about. Then you both decide on you agree to what the definition is that you're going to use. And then you both understand each other immediately better. Okay, so I had the good fortune, as I was saying, to get this feedback from two people, and they were helping me understand that when I use the word relationship, it doesn't really land for them. They don't really understand why I'm choosing that word because it doesn't seem like it fits. And then I said, well, you know what? I think we need to really know that we're all talking about the same thing because we might be talking about something different. So I really appreciate you both telling me this, because what that does is it helps me understand that it's worthwhile, being that I use the word relationship so much in my work, whether it's with clients or it's posting on social media. I use that word all the time. And so isn't it of my best interest and the best interest of anyone I'm speaking to really understand how I'm using that word and what it means? And that is what I'm going to explain first before I tell you how you can use your really hard relationships for amazing growth, for wins, for understanding, if you want to. Okay. What I believe the common understanding of the word relationship is it's like, okay, if somebody says, well, I'm in relationship with this person, sometimes people think that's a romantic relationship, sometimes it could be a friend relationship, but it kind of has this idea of two people interacting, or two people who are, they don't have to be close, but meaning like they have a presence in each other's life. That is not what I mean when I use the word relationship. Now, it could be that. It could be that. Okay. But when I use the word relationship, it's this much larger container. When I think of the word relationship, I think of, if I'm in a relationship to something, imagine this. We're here on Earth, right? Every single thing that I know about, not the things I don't know about necessarily, but every single thing I know about grass, I know about people, I know about ideas, I know about behaviors, I know about animals, I know about rain and weather patterns. I know all these things. And all of these things I'm in relationship with because they exist and I know about them. Right there, to me, that's a relationship, because once I know about something, once anybody knows about something, what you do is it's not necessarily conscious. I mean, you're not sitting down and thinking all of these things, but it's happening because your mind is like a computer processor and it processes things. So if let's say I go out today and I see an eagle, and maybe it's the first time I've seen an eagle. I don't know an eagle exists. I've never known it. I never knew eagles existed. And then I go out today and I see this big bird and I'm like, wow, what's that? Someone says it's an eagle. Even if someone doesn't say that, I could still be in relationship to it. But someone says it's an eagle, and so I say, oh wow, okay, it's an eagle. Just knowing it exists and seeing what it's doing. Maybe it's flying and it's soaring. So it's not flapping its wings. It's just soaring in the air. Right then, I'm in relationship to that animal. I'm in a relationship. It would be hard to say with that animal. I mean, you could, but there's a relationship there, because in the simplest sense, my eyes see that thing, and what happens between my eyes and that object is a connection. If my eyes weren't landing on it, if my eyes didn't see that thing, they'd be looking at and connected to something else. So whatever my eyes land on, whatever my eyes see, whatever my eyes, my mind, my awareness, my attention, my consciousness takes in from the world, I'm in relationship to. A relationship has been established because I see it, I know it, even if it's just a tiny amount, even if I just know it's a bird, it's flying, it's this color, it's this shape. And that usually has things that also follow, meaning I either like it or I don't, I'm scared of it or I'm delighted by it, I'm impressed by it or curious, I don't care about it or I want to run away from it, right? All of those things, no matter what it is, that's a relationship. It's something I'm relating to. And it doesn't have to be a physical object. Like a living object. Like I mentioned before, I mentioned grass. Well, grass is alive too, so that doesn't hold up. But so we have to put grass in the living category, but let's just say something like a rock, right? We don't generally think of rocks as living. We think of them as non-living objects. But let's just say I'm actually thinking of a rock right now. In fact, I was just out today with this beautiful big boulder. I've seen this boulder many, many times in my life. It's a beautiful big boulder. I'm in relationship to that boulder. I would even say with that boulder. Now, it doesn't mean it has to reciprocate. It just means my consciousness knows it's there. And just by knowing it's there, there's a relationship. I love that boulder, but there might be other things that I saw today that I don't love. I'm not sure what those are, but I'm sure there were a few. Okay, so when I use the word relationship, I think of anything that your conscious mind knows about, anything that your eyes see, anything that your awareness is on, and it could be something you saw 3 years ago. Okay, you're in relationship to that somehow. Okay, it's let's think of this as just a comprehensive view of the word relationship. And I think that might really help in the way that I talk about and use the word relationship a lot of times, because that way it's not this thing. It's not like, oh, here's another example. Sometimes we think of, let's just say we use this in our language. We use this in our language. Let's say there's someone in my life who has really hurt me. Or maybe it's like a past relationship, like a romantic relationship, and they're no longer in my life. It's common to say, oh, well, we're not in a relationship anymore. And so I think, and that is one true definition of the word relationship. So by no means am I saying that these friends who gave me this feedback are wrong in their definition. It's just there's multiple definitions and there's multiple understandings. And although the way I use it might not be the way it's commonly used, or it might not be the way the Merriam-Webster dictionary defines it, it is a definition. It is a way to think about how you interact with the world around you. So let's think about this past relationship that I was in years ago, and we're no longer together. It's over, right? The relationship is over, right? We use words like that. We use phrases like that. The relationship is over. Sure, that definition of the relationship is over, but still I remain in relationship to anything and everything that I've ever had contact with. There's no way to erase that from who I am. And I may not know how it's consciously affecting my state. And I'm sure a lot of people would argue that oh no, it's not. I got out of that relationship 20 years ago and I haven't thought about them since. I'm not in relationship with that. I would argue that, and I'd love to have a conversation with you if you believe that to be true. Not to prove you wrong or anything like that. I like talking about these kinds of things, and I like opening up awareness. I like being wrong. I mean, if we have that conversation and I wind up being wrong, fabulous. It's not about being right or wrong. It's just about exploring this understanding of relationship and how much things affect us, even when we don't think they do. And that's really the beauty of having an expanded definition of relationship like this, because then you start to understand that even the person that you cut out of your life 20 years ago, you're still in relationship with, right? Even the person that died 30 years ago, you're still in relationship with. Even the person that was mean to you in second grade and you decided to never think about them again, you're still in relationship with them. From my standpoint, from my definition, I'm not forcing this understanding or definition on you. I'm just sharing where I come from. So how do you use hard relationships for a win, for gain, for growth, for joy? It happens when there's a couple of prerequisites. One is that, do you have the model? Do you have the understanding? Do you have the framework of this life as being one of growth? Do you believe that you're here to grow? Do you believe that you're here to learn? Do you believe that you're here to be refined? I'm sure you've heard metaphors like lots of pressure creates diamonds. I mean, that's a real thing. It's a true thing, but we use that as a metaphor in the human, meaning like if we're under a lot of pressure, let's say we're under a lot of pressure, whether it's work or it's financial or it's relationship, whatever it is, that pressure, if you have the right understanding of it and approach to it and attitude, mindset, it can turn you into a diamond. And there's something else too, right? Isn't there another expression? Oh, hold your feet to the fire, right? We use that expression. If you hold somebody's feet to the fire, my idea of that expression is that you're really calling, asking them to be an ultimate version of themselves. Like you're really asking them. It's almost like burning out impurities. Think about that too, like a fire. If you put something in a fire, it's reduced to its finest essence. Right? Everything that can be burned is gone. And what remains is its essence. So these ideas are built into our expressions. And so you have to have that belief. If you don't have that belief, if you don't believe that you're here to grow and to learn and to be refined and to be turned into a diamond under pressure and purified through fire and all of those things, then it's going to be hard to go along with what I'm going to say from here on out. Okay, but if you believe that you're here for growth, which I do, so I believe that I'm here to grow. I believe I'm here to learn. I believe that every single hard thing that lands in my lap, that comes across my desk, that unwanted thing, just every hard thing has the ability to either tear me down or turn me into a diamond. And I don't believe I'll ever truly be a diamond. I mean, I believe Christ is a diamond, and I believe that my efforts and my goals and my prayers and my movement in this life is to be more Christ-like. But I don't believe I'll achieve that. I personally don't believe that's achievable. But it doesn't mean I'm not being asked to move toward that continuously. Believing that I am here to grow and learn and develop, I know that every hard thing that comes my way is just literally another blessing in disguise. It's another piece of the making of the diamond. It's another fire. And hopefully there's never a real fire. But it's another fire. It's another metaphorical fire to burn up whatever impurities are here. Same thing, like in addition to believe, like if you're going to go with this model, in addition to believing that you are here to grow, are here to learn, are here to develop, are here to be refined, are here to be in the fire, are here to be pressured so that you turn into a diamond, you also have to believe that the hard things that come your way can either take you down or be used for good. All things can be used for good. I think it's Romans 8:28. All things work together for good by God. And so it's God that works all things together for good for those that love him and those that are called for his purpose. If you believe that, it doesn't say some things are worked together for good. All, A-L-L, all things can be worked together for good. And I'm paraphrasing there. Please look up the verse. But the key here is that when bad things hit, it's not like you throw up your hands and have a party and feel joyful, but you remind yourself, this can be used for good. I don't know if it's good objectively, but I know it can be used for good. I don't necessarily want it to be here. It's not the challenge that I wanted to go through this week or this year or this decade, but it's here. And when you do that, then you start to see these hard relationships, these people around you that are really, really hard, really hard. I like to make the case of this because I know how hard relationships are. And sometimes we need to hear that from another person. Like, it's not just you that has hard relationships. Like, relationships are hard. In these hard relationships, they are your fire. If they were all just nice and easy and pleasant and comfortable and encouraging, kind, supportive, helpful, soothing, satisfying, fulfilling, you would never burn. You would never be under pressure. You would never learn. You wouldn't grow. When was the last time you learned and grew from a pleasant experience? I'm not saying you shouldn't have pleasant experiences. Pleasant experiences are wonderful. They're wonderful. I love pleasant experiences. And they have a place in our life, but you don't grow, you don't learn. They don't bring up the spots in you that are rusty or not well developed or dull. When something is really challenging, it draws on your reserves. So let's imagine you have a relationship in your life where we could take so many different examples. Let's just say someone in your life is, maybe it's a family member, someone that you've grown up with, you've known your whole life, and you just feel like they're not supportive. Maybe you even feel like they treat you worse than anybody else you've ever known. Maybe they don't listen to you. Maybe they discount what you say. Maybe they dismiss you. Maybe they call you names. Maybe they don't make time for you. Maybe they're not present with you. Maybe they tell you you're always wrong. Maybe they cut you off when you talk. Okay, whatever. It could be any of these things. There's so many, right? And it hurts you. Like, you feel hurt by it. You feel sad by it. You don't understand. Like, you don't understand why it feels like this personal mission to just destroy you. And so it can feel not even uncomfortable, but it can feel like I don't know what I'm talking about when I say to you, there's a gift in that. It's easy to just be like, oh, I don't want to hear what she has to say because she clearly does not know what she's talking about. There are no gifts here. But there are huge gifts there, huge gifts there. And those gifts are all about that fire. They're all about that pressure. They're all about, there's something inside of you that relationship is bringing to your attention. But it's really hard for you to see what that is if you're holding them in the view of being the offender. And I'm not saying that they're not being offensive, and I'm not saying that their behavior is okay. I'm not saying any of that. What I'm saying is, if you keep seeing them as the offender, you don't grow. When you see them as someone who is not intentionally, they're not intentionally your fire. Like, they're not doing it to help you grow per se. They're not saying, oh, let me antagonize this person or put this person down so that they grow. It's just they're in a pattern of their own. They're in their own unconsciousness. They're not aware. It's something that is ingrained in them, and that if they took the time to really look at, they probably wouldn't be that way. But then if they weren't that way, somebody else would be, and you would get the gift from someone else. So how you use your hard relationships as gifts, as wins, as an understanding that it's here to refine you, it's here to burn out some impurity. You have to stop seeing them as an offender. And that means you have to stop believing what the world calls them. Because there's lots of talk in the world today about, oh, this person is an XYZ, and so you should just write them off. Like, you just need to cut them out. They're toxic. Just be done with them. And while there are some cases where it is important to have very strong boundaries and possibly cut someone out or block them, right? I mean, that's important sometimes. But if that's the case, meaning if they're hurting you to the degree where you absolutely do need to distance, block, put big boundaries up, okay, still you want to do all that, okay? But even your actions in doing all that are part of the fire, part of the pressure. How do you respond? How do you do this? How do you do it in a way that's loving, meaning like not revengeful, but just someone who's protecting safety and self-preserving and even preserving them? Because if someone's hurting you and you let them keep hurting you, you're not helping them either. So not only are you hurting yourself, but you're hurting them. If someone hurts me or is continuously hurting me and I keep giving them an opportunity to hurt me, it's not only self-protection to put up boundaries, it's also protection of them, because you don't want to be someone that gives another person reason or access or allowance of hurting you or hurting anybody else. So it's important. Boundaries are important. So that's not what I'm saying. So please don't mix this up with, if you're using hard relationships as a gift, it means you shouldn't have any boundaries at all. It's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, even if you need those strong boundaries, so in that particular like ultimate case where it is really important for you to create distance and put a strong boundary up and whatever else you need to do, even in that instance, can you do all of that? Not revengefully, but protectively, and not see them as the offender. But say, how are they turning up the flame? How are they pressuring me to be more refined? How was me having to figure out how to set these kinds of boundaries and not be revengeful purifying me? Because that's a really hard thing to do. It's hard to put distance between you and another person in a way that isn't out of spite, isn't out of revenge, it's not striking back, it's not mean. You're not doing it because you don't like them. You're doing it because there's something happening in the dynamic that is really hurtful for you and them. And so it's actually an act of love. How can you say to somebody, hey, I need to put a boundary up in a way that feels, it's not going to feel comfortable. It's not going to feel comfortable to them no matter how you do it. But how do you do it in a way that actually registers to some part of their body, their mind, their nervous system as love? Because there's a lot of talk in this world about, like, again, oh, this person's toxic, just cut them out, like, oh, this person draws all your energy, don't let them do that, they're the offender. No, if somebody's drawing all your energy, they're not the offender. They're just turning up the flame so that you can figure out how to better manage your energy when you're around people that demand a lot of it. And you would never get that lesson. You would never get that growth. You would never get that experience. You would never be able to get to that level of refinement without them. And this is why the people in your life who are the hardest to deal with, whether it's today or it was from 20 years ago, hardest to deal with, those people have the biggest gifts for you. The biggest refinement, the biggest fire. They're like knocking on the door the loudest. And it only takes some introspection, some understanding, so a willingness to operate differently than society teaches you to act, right? Society, and again, who am I talking about when I talk about society? I don't know. Is it school? Is it authority? Is it the police? Is it parents? Is it generational? I mean, who knows? Right? Is it the media? Okay, it's someone, right? It's like the dominant message. The dominant message is, cut people out that aren't doing you any good. Don't take anything from anybody. Protect yourself at all costs. And I mean, again, of course, I don't want to send the message that there's certain situations where you really do need to protect yourself. But what I mean is, if someone's demanding, or they don't listen to you, or they cut you off, or they're this or they're that, yes, you need boundaries, but they're also not the offender. They're also there to show you what part of you the puzzle piece is fitting with. If let's say someone takes advantage of me in whatever way, let's say it's financially. Okay, let's say that someone is always coming to me for money, and then I always give them money. And then they always ask me for a loan, and I give them money, and they don't pay me back. Okay, let's just say that that's the scenario. And then I say to somebody else, like, oh, that person, they're always taking advantage of me. That's seeing them as an offender. It's not looking at myself. There's no self-reflection there. I'm not using that gift. If I were going to use that gift, I would say, it's really interesting. I feel like I'm being taken advantage of here. And I know full well that there would be no way to take advantage of me if my house was in order, right? If I didn't let people take advantage of me. If I learned from past experiences. So what is this showing me? It's showing me that, number one, I'm not using this to learn. Number two, I keep falling prey to believing someone even after they have shown me that I shouldn't believe them. I think that other people are more important than me. Okay, whatever it is, it's going to be different for everyone. But when I start to look at those things and I change how I behave, then I have actually successfully used that relationship for good. And it's interesting when you do that and when you change yourself, that other person changes too. Who in your life is the most difficult person? Even the thing, this is really interesting. I thought of this other day on a walk. I always like to think about, I mean, my brain is naturally thinking about things. It likes to do that, right? I like to do that. I enjoy things like that because it helps me to unravel some of these puzzles in this world. But I like to think about everything as a relationship. And so let's just say there's someone in your life that you really like, maybe you don't want to admit that you dislike them. Maybe it's hard to admit that you hate them, but like, oh, it brings up all these bad feelings whenever like they walk into a room. Like your body does not feel at ease. Your mind does not feel at ease. You just wish they would leave. You feel like you sigh when they walk out. You feel so much better. You let your guard down. When that person is around you, let's just say you dislike them, okay? Because I know hate is a hard word for some people. Let's just say you feel that dislike. What we tend to do is we just think, I dislike that person. Like there's something, again, that person is the offender. I don't like them. But it's really like, what's your relationship like with dislike? What's your relationship like with things you dislike? Meaning your relationship with dislike is completely running your relationship with that person. Because what if you have a good relationship with dislike? What if you learn how to be interested, curious by dislike? Then when that person walks into the room, it's like, wow, here's that dislike. I'm in relationship with dislike. What's that relationship about? What does it have to teach me today? And this is how you can use everything in your life for good. Right? God can use everything for good. Doesn't mean everything is good, but he can use everything for good. and you're created in his image, and you're asked to keep doing your best to be more and more like him. How can you use everything for good? If you start to think about this understanding of relationships, this container for relationships, and you realize you're in relationship with everything. Like, I'm in relationship with this shirt. I'm in relationship with this microphone. I'm in relationship with this camera that I'm looking into. I'm in relationship with the words that are coming out of my mouth. I I'd have to know you to say I'm in relationship with you, but let's just count it as a listener, right? Like, I know you're a listener here. I'm in relationship to you, the listener. I'm in relationship to the lighting in this room. I'm in relationship to the thoughts that I'm having right now. I'm in relationship to whatever feelings I'm feeling. I'm in relationship to smiling. I'm in relationship to frowning. I'm in relationship to pain. Now think about this. Like, so my back does not feel great today. I mean, there's plenty of, I mean, I'm not saying this to complain. I mean, my body experiences pain a lot in this life, like a lot. But like right now, my back, my neck, my shoulders, they're in a little bit of pain. I'm in relationship with that pain. I'm in relationship with my body. I'm in relationship with how it's feeling right now. What's my relationship like with pain? What's your relationship like with pain? What's your relationship like with sleep? What's my relationship like with waking up in the morning? If you have someone who's really hard to deal with in your life, I'm not saying it's easy, and I'm not saying that you won't have all kinds of emotions, especially the next time they do that thing that they do, right? You'll feel sad, you'll feel defeated, you'll feel upset, you'll feel frustrated, you'll feel out of control, you'll feel hopeless, you'll feel helpless. Those are all feelings. They're all valid. They're all valid. And they're all valuable. They're messengers. They're telling you something. They're giving you information. They're not always true, but they're valid. And they hurt. So that's inevitable. The fact that hard relationships have gifts to deliver you doesn't cross that out. You're still going to feel sad or defeated, hopeless the next time something happens. But how quick can you turn it around? Meaning, how quick can you notice, like, okay, here I am. This is happening. This can be used for good. How do I use it for good? What is this fire trying to burn out in me? What is this pressure trying to squeeze out? Squeeze out all that unnecessary stuff, all the stuff that's hurting me. And when you start to live this way, you are going to see huge growth. There's never a finish line. There's never a final mountain peak. There's always growth. There's always places to learn. So it's not about, you're not trying to get there so that you can be done. You could put your feet back and relax, because when you get there, there's the next level of challenge. But are you here to grow? I'm here to grow. And because I have taken on this model and used it, I have grown so much. And the people that I know who are willing to take on this model grow so much. I mean, the growth that I have seen is tremendous. All right, I hope this was a fun exploration. I hope that there's someone in your life that you do feel hurt by, and you do validate your feelings, and you do know that those are real, valid expressions, messengers that are here to help you as long as you don't allow yourself to be run by them. You use them, you don't let them use you. And then you say, what's the gift? What fire is this here to burn up in me? Not only will you grow, but you will be able to be much more calm and I don't want to say comfortable, but accepting, embracing of the things that are hard. You'll understand when it's like, ah, yeah, that's right. It's here to help me grow. What a teacher. What a teacher. Like in moments where, I mean, there are moments that I have where I look at the hardest people in my life and like I feel overwhelming gratitude for what I have learned by having to figure out how to deal with them, the situation, approach them, what to say, what not to say, how to say it, how to be, how to behave, what to do instead. I mean, like, they're my biggest teachers. And so that gratitude is immense. But it doesn't mean that it's always a nice feeling, a good feeling to be in that kind of a dynamic. Something I started in 2025 to help you go deeper into this kind of what I would call inner relationship, inner awareness, like really getting to know yourself. And a lot of people, it's funny, like if I say to people, you know, get to know yourself better. Some people their knee-jerk reaction would be to say like, well, I know myself. Others would say like, well, what's the point? Why do I need to know myself better? Or like, what more is there to know? I'm with myself every day. But there's a little voice in you. There's a little voice in everyone that most people don't spend time getting to know because it's not the most socially acceptable understanding of life. It kind of goes against the grain, right? Meaning like, let's just say you're with a group of people and they're joking. You know how like people will like, they'll make fun. Let's say they're making fun of you, like, but it's joking. And you just go along with it because if you say something, if you say like, you know, guys, this isn't really nice or whatever, you say something like that, they're going to be like, oh, so-and-so can't take a joke. You know, like we're just joking. I mean, this happens a lot with kids. If you just watch kids, this happens a lot. I mean, I don't know people that don't buckle to that kind of pressure. And it happens with adults too, just sometimes in different or more subtle ways. So that little voice in you, though, isn't happy in that moment. That little voice doesn't feel like it's really being cared for. But most people squash that voice out because it isn't socially acceptable. If that little voice speaks up and says, hey, why are you guys making fun of me? This doesn't feel good. You know you're going to just get slammed for that. You know they're just going to make fun of that. They're not going to say, oh, wow, thank you for bringing that to my attention. I didn't even realize I was doing that. Let me take a few steps back and I'm sorry. Let me first apologize, take a few steps back and then do something different. That's not a common response. And so that little quiet voice gets squashed. And when you squash that voice 10 times, 20 times, 30 times, 1,000 times, it's so far away. It's so far away from just everyday consciousness that it's that relationship with that little voice feels so distant. So getting this little voice to be a bigger part of your day, of your life, of your mind, and understanding that it's pretty smart. It's pretty smart, is helpful for you if you do want to grow and develop and explore in this life in ways that will get you to deeper understanding. That's why I mean, there's a lot. I could give you 20 different reasons right now for why I created the journal prompt membership, but that's a big one. It's every day, 3 minutes a day, a little bit of time, just giving that little voice, giving that part of you a time to talk without judgment, without pressure, without anybody needing to see it. And so the questions that I put into those journal prompts are questions that you wouldn't necessarily ask yourself. And they're not questions that people in your life are asking you. It's getting to know yourself and that little voice in a way that you haven't before. Because I like to always think about things, in a way. It's like, how does this align with God? The more you get to know yourself and that voice and the voice, the little the one that's saying like, this isn't right, but like, I don't know how to fix it because the world doesn't want me to fix it. The world doesn't want me to tell them to stop picking on me or picking on someone else or joking, calling something a joke, even though it doesn't feel like a joke. Right? Or it's like we come to understand that we kind of have to go. I mean, I see this all the time, even with adults. There's so much pressure, peer pressure with drinking. I see it all the time. Like, it's unbelievable to me. Like, let's just say you're out with a group of people and one person says like, "Come on, have a beer." I mean, people don't say it to me because they know it's such a long ago part of my past, and I've already explained it so many times. So people just know it's a non-issue for me. It's not going to happen. But like, people that don't have such a strong stance as me, like people that like drink sometimes, or like, they don't have a clear stance on why they don't drink like I do. They get pressured like crazy. Come on, what's wrong with you? You don't have to drive until 3 hours from now. Like, come on, you could drink a couple of beers and drive. Whatever it is, it's unbelievable how much pressure there is to do things like that. That's interesting. Maybe I could do a whole episode on that because there's a lot going on there. But the point is, the more you get to know yourself and understand yourself, the less willing you are to go with the crowd. And the crowd isn't always going down a godly road. In fact, a lot of times it's not. So when you can get comfortable, like understanding what you want and what you think is right according to your own integrity, you're much more likely to move in that direction, even when the whole crowd is going in the other direction. That's why it's important for you to get to know yourself in a deeper way. If you would love to start one of these journal prompts tomorrow, I'll have the link in the show notes. You can reach out, ask me anything you want about this. Like, I love this. I love it. I do it myself. And I think it has the potential to really help people slowly, little, day by day, just a little drop in the bucket, 3 minutes a day, get to know themselves in such a profound way. Where, like, let's say you do it for a year, like, you are going to be different, like different. And it's not even like, it's hard to see the difference every day because it's just 3 minutes a day, 3 minutes a day, 3 minutes a day. But then you realize, wow, like, I know myself so much better. I'm so much more willing to say like, no, I don't want to do that. Or yes, I do want to do that. You're more willing to speak up. Okay, I hope this episode was helpful for you. I hope if you have that hard person in your life, you know that number one, oh, I'm sorry for all the pain that it causes. I know it hurts. Number two, it is a gift. Fire always burns. Pressure always hurts. It hurts. But it's a gift. Don't let it go to waste. Don't waste that gift. And wouldn't it be great if you get to the point where you have that flood of gratitude and you realize what it's actually giving you? Have an awesome day or night, and I will see you next time.